because at the end of the day, the accolades are great, but at the end of the day, I'm just a byproduct of the grace of God.
Amen.
Who's familiar with the social media hashtag #MeToo? Has everybody been hearing about that on social media? So there's a hashtag that's trending right now on social media entitled #MeToo. And that hashtag is being used for people who have survived abuse in some form. A lot of it has been sexual abuse. And I got to thinking, you have all these women from all different walks of life, and the one thing that has connected them is something that none of us want to talk about or experience. Nobody wants to be the person whose body was taken advantage of. That doesn't feel good, right? So I said, why don't we flip that hashtag, right? Me Too doesn't have to be something that's negative. Me Too can be something that is positive. So when I say something today that you can relate to, I just want you to say, me too. Practice, me too. Me too. Me too. So Nadine gave you guys a lot of my highlights, right? A lot of times we like to share the highlight reel of our lives. But there were some low points as well. I have a really great life now. I get the opportunity to travel and do what I love. I'm married to the man of my dreams. Y'all, he's amazing. Like, I love him. Like, I can't talk about him without smiling. I'm like a child. There you go. Somebody got it. Me too. There you go. Me too. There you go. Catch that. I have great children. 2 of them are here with me now, Abria and Janae. And I live the life of my dreams. I get up every day and I get the chance to do what I love. I genuinely love writing. I would write if nobody ever read. I would write if no one ever purchased a book. I would write because it's what I do. I love it. I create stories. Let me tell you guys a little bit about how my writing process works. So everyone's always like, oh, how do you have the energy to be able to finish a book? How are you able to stick with it? Because I really thrive off of making readers yell at me. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe you killed him off. I love that. That makes me happy. That's my thing, right? Thank you. And so when I get to the point in the story where I'm like, I don't know if I can finish this novel, just kill somebody off. And then I'm excited again. Plot twist, major plot twist, right? Because my life has been a series of plot twists. My parents, God bless their hearts, I love them. But my parents were ridiculously broken. Like, seriously, they had no business having children. Trifling, both of them. Shouldn't have kids, okay? My dad had been abused, and his life was a result of him trying to prove his manhood because of the abuse. My mother had been abused, and her life was a result of her trying to prove that she was worthy of love. And these 2 very broken people who were not married said, let's make a baby because that baby is gonna love us forever. So these 2 people just said, let's get drunk because that's what you're supposed to do before you make a baby. You're supposed to get drunk. Like, that doesn't make sense. But they thought that was a good idea. So that gives you an idea where my parents' headspace was at, right? That's like ridiculous because alcohol and babies, whole fetal alcohol syndrome thing, not a good idea. But God stepped in between. My dad did something dumb because, that's what you do when you're broken. You do dumb things. And they separated. And my mom was back in her hometown, and a pastor came through driving his church van and said, hey, do you people want to go to church? And these single women said, yes, let me get in this van with this strange man that I do not know because he says that he's going to take us to church. They did that. Apparently it worked out because he ended up being a good person. Could have went another way. Could have went very wrong. This man then took a liking or an interest or a Holy Ghost inspired interest in the baby that my mother was carrying. So much so that he decided the baby needed some extra anointing, so the whole time that he preached, he made her sit on the steps to the pulpit during the whole sermon. Because God was looking out for me when my parents didn't know that they needed to be looking out for me. So the entire time that he preached, my mom would have to sit on the steps. And at one Sunday, she said, you know what, I'm tired. He's making a spectacle of me. I'm not going to sit. I'm going to hide in the back of the church. And as my mother tells the story, he waited until she came to the front. He said, we'll hold up this service as long as we have to. But somebody is missing and she knows where she's supposed to be. So when she finally made her way to the front after everybody looked like they wanted to shoot daggers at her with their eyes because, it's hot. People ready to go home. And they can't go nowhere because he won't preach and release the service. So they kind of forced her up to the front. And he said to her, you think that I keep bringing you up here to make you a spectacle because you are unmarried and pregnant. But in actuality, that child that you're carrying is special. And when I preach, I am covering the baby. So basically, get out your feelings and sit here until I'm done preaching. That man became my godfather. And he prayed over me and he spoke life into me. But then my mother decided, because she was broken, I'm not going to church anymore. I'm mad at God. So she gets mad at God and she doesn't go to church. And as a result of her not going, our life began to turn bad. Because that's what happens when you turn your back on God. Because when you turn your back on God, you lose your covering. Amen. And you need a covering, right? Yes. So she turned her back on God and everything started to go downhill. And here she is now married. She married someone else. They end up getting divorced and now she has 3 children and no money. And one of her children is very, very ill. And we live in a shack. Not a small house. No, a shack. A shack to the point to where she would put newspaper in the walls to keep the wind out. And she would nail plastic to the windows. We were really poor. There was no bathroom. There was no running water. We had nothing. And I ain't that old, y'all, to where I should have been in the house with no running water. I had a pump on my back porch because my mother was poor. She gave us love the best way that she knew how. But you can't give money where there is none. So I was teased mercilessly when school started, right? Kids were horrible because, kids are not nice. We all know this. We pretend, but they're not nice. They can be vicious. Let's tell the truth for 5 seconds. Kids can be. If you were ever teased, say me too. Me too. Because kids they're just mean little people. They don't have to be, but they are. That's the truth. Right? So, you don't have the same thing that the other kids have to get teased, right? So I was teased, and at this point, my father's life is spiraling out of control. My father drinks himself to death. And everyone in the family, they don't like to admit that he drank himself to death. Someone did this to him. He was poisoned. We're going to find who did this to him. No one wants to tell the truth. So everyone wants to have someone to blame for his death. But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is, you drink too much. If you drink too much, you die. Alcohol poisoning is a thing. Someone poisoned him. He poisoned himself. Wasn't intentional, but this is what happened. So now I'm a little girl who's poor, who's been teased, who has no father to pour into her. So everyone thinks that means, oh, here comes a story where she becomes super promiscuous. Nope, just the opposite. Didn't do that. More so because AIDS was first hitting the scene and I watched someone shrivel up and die. That was really the reason I was scared. But God can use whatever he wants. So for me, that's what he used. Don't want that. That looks terrible and painful and you're dead now. So no thanks, I don't want that. I'm cool, I'm over here. But that also means that while all the other girls were getting attention, I was getting none. So I thought I was ugly. So now you're poor and you're ugly. And you don't have nice clothes and nobody likes you and you don't have a daddy. Like really. And your mom decided not to tell you that you're pretty anymore because apparently when I was 3, I became conceited. So at 3, she said she was going to not tell me I was pretty. So there was no one speaking into my life. No one was telling me, you're beautiful, you're smart, you can make it, you can be anything that you want to be. Didn't have those. Didn't have that. No one was there saying that. But there was someone in my life who saw the brokenness and decided to exploit it. It became an opportunity. Because broken girls who get attention don't normally say anything afterwards. So he used that as an opportunity. Someone that I trusted, someone that my mother trusted, someone that should not have been in our home. And that individual did what he did. I don't like to talk about that a whole lot. Not because I'm broken or not because, I'm ashamed or I'm embarrassed or anything, but it turned out to be something that propelled me to greatness. Mm-hmm. So I choose to focus on being propelled to greatness. Because out of that, I started to grow up. When when I started to grow up, I realized, you know what? You're not ugly. You're actually kind of cute. Okay, so check that off. Every woman in the room should have said, there you go, there you go. And now you're a little bit older, you can get a job. You got some money. Okay, now you can buy some nice clothes. You can buy shoes, whatever shoes you want. Hey, I am game. Game changer, life has been made. That's all I needed. I got some money, I got some cute clothes, I got some shoes, and I don't crack the mirror when I look in it. What else you need? I'm a beast at this point, right? And I was really, really good in school. Very good. So good that my mother never even had to ask me for my report card. Now, that's what I tell myself. In reality, she was working so many jobs, trying to like keep up and keep a roof over our head that she didn't have time to, for things like report cards. Did you eat today? Has your laundry been done? Like, she didn't have time for those things, so she was trying to keep me alive, So I told myself she could just trust me, and that's why she didn't ask me for my report card. But in actuality, she was so overwhelmed with her own life. She just didn't have it to give. She went to work, and she came home, and she said, I paid a cost to be the boss. So as long as you're in this house when you're supposed to, and you wash the clothes, and you clean, and you take care of your brothers, and you cook the meals, life is good. But life wasn't good, because there were still holes in me. So then another young man came along, and he said, you know what? I don't care what the last person did to you. I think that you're gorgeous, and I think that you're smart, and I think that you're intelligent. I think you're smarter than me. I think you can be anything that you want to be when you grow up. Word? Wait a minute. Then you want to bring me roses every time you see me, and open car doors?
Me too.
So let me get this straight. You're going to do all this, and you're not going to exploit the fact that I've been abused? Sign me up. Want to get married? Yep, sure do. Yep. Where we going? Where we going? He stood up to my mom, and he said to my mother, you didn't protect her, but I will. Me too. I'm there. Okay, I'm going to protect you. You're more than welcome to take care of me. Rescue me. I wanted to be saved. I wanted to be rescued. Around this same time, I found a church, and I started kind of learning about God and what a wife was supposed to be and a mom, and I forgot about college and all those great, amazing things, even though I got into a really, really good university. Only school I applied to because I was like so self-assured of how smart I was at that point that I was going to get in. I was right. See, it happened. So he says to me, I want to marry you because I want you to move in with me. And I was like, okay, that's not a reason to get married. Nope, not doing that. And he said, well, at least move in with me. No, because at this point, I started learning about God. So I'm like, if I move in with you, if I start shacking up, I ain't never going to get out of that. And if you're from the South, you don't shack up. Because every old mother in the church going to pull you in the corner and talk down to you until you feel this big. Every week. Baby, you know you ought to respect yourself a little better than that. Every week. I wasn't here for it, didn't have time. I felt like if I got into it, I would never get out of it. So he kept asking. No, I'm not moving in. Finally, he said, let me marry you and take the burden off. Ooh, burden's lifted. I'm here for it. Sign me up. Yes, let's go get married. The day we got married, it rained and we argued cats and dogs. I mean, we argued about what time we were going to the courthouse. We argued about how we were going to get to the courthouse. We argued about who was going to be a witness. Like, every sign was run. Wow. Run in the opposite direction. Use your wisdom. Do not do this. It's like blaring lights. This is a bad idea. Oh, yeah, fine. Let's go. I'm here for it. Let's get married.
Me too.
Listen, I know I'm not by myself. I done talked to enough women to know. When I start telling this story, I know somebody gonna yell me too. We get married. We are married approximately 4 months. I go to an event with church, and I come home, and he's not there. Now, this is in the 90s, right? back when we used Yellow Pages. I know some of you young people may not know what Yellow Pages are, so let me explain to you what a Yellow Pages. The Yellow Pages was a book that the phone company used to put out a couple times a year, and it had the listing of all the businesses, their names, their address, and their phone number. And if you were a company that had some money, you actually got an ad. Yeah, because they don't know. They're confused. You got to tell the young people what the Yellow Pages are. So, we didn't have Google. There was no such thing as Google. You couldn't just pull up your phone. As a matter of fact, there wasn't a cell phone. There was no cell phone. There was no internet directory. Everything came in a book. They got dropped off at your house in a little plastic baggie that they left on the front door. Times was hard, girl. We had to look up everything. You know how many books we had to have back in the day? Life was rough, right? So the Yellow Pages was open on the bed. He wasn't there, but the Yellow Pages are open. And it was open to an ad for the Drury Inn and Suites. My dumb self. Oh, he's surprising us. He must got a hotel room for us. No clue. Y'all, I was young. Ain't no clue.
Me too.
Right, so I'm waiting for him to come home thinking, oh, when he comes home, he must have like a really nice surprise. Well, it's not our anniversary because we just got married. Maybe he wants to do it just because it's not my birthday and it's not Valentine's Day, but surely he's planning a surprise for us. So he strolls on in the house on time, like he just got home from work on time, right? So I'm thinking, there's nothing wrong with this. He gets off at 8, he's home at 8:15 because we done clocked how long it take you to get from the job to the house, right? Where's the me too? Because I know some of y'all. Y'all not gonna leave me out here hanging, thank you. So he comes in the door like it's an ordinary work day. And I'm like, well, what happened? Like, why was the phone book open? He goes in. What you doing? What you mean? You checking up on me? No. First of all, I walked in the door. The phone book was on the bed and it was open. You're sloppy. Clearly. Don't blame me because you're sloppy. Because I wasn't looking for anything. I was just trying to go to bed. That's what you're supposed to do when you come home. You're supposed to go to bed. It's part of life, right? So we get into this huge argument. My silly self didn't understand that argument was a diversion so that I wouldn't ask any more questions about what was going on.
Me too.
Don't we fall for that? We fall for the diversion. It's a sleight of hand. Look to the right while I'm cheating on the left. That's what they do. So, fast forward, and I find myself right here in Hinesville. And I know without a shadow of doubt that he's been unfaithful. Now, all these years, I've been in church. So now at this point, I got some Jesus in me. I ain't got a whole lot of natural wisdom, but I got some spiritual wisdom, right? Because you ain't lived long enough. People like to think that just because you know God, that you know life, and that's not the truth. Some things you have to live through. Some things you have to sit under somebody who has lived through it so that you can get some wisdom. You don't know everything just because you know Jesus. You think you do. You have access to all knowledge, but you don't have all knowledge. You need to know the difference. So I'm sitting there, and I said, I got a choice to make. And I'm like 8 months pregnant, by the way. I have a choice to make. Do I tear up my family? Or do I pray and ask God to fix it? So I called my pastor back home, and I told her what was going on. And she said, well, baby, I told you I saw this. Okay, first of all, that's not what you're supposed to say. It's not what you're supposed to say. That's like the wrong thing to say. So now I'm crying, but I'm not crying for the reason she thinks I'm crying. I'm crying because I'm mad. Because what you were not supposed to say is I saw this coming. And I gotta respect you because you're my pastor and you're older than me and I can't tell you what I really think. So I'm crying from pure anger and an inability to tell you how I feel. This is just me being honest. Some of y'all need to say me too because I know y'all have cried for the same reason. Thank you. Like, when you saw it, Pastor, why didn't you tell me what you saw? It's a good idea. Don't tell me later that you saw it if you didn't tell me that my life was headed for a train wreck. If you see the train wreck, don't you tell people to get off the track? You see it's coming. Tell me to get off.
Get out.
She says, God didn't release me to tell you. So now you and God in cahoots. What you mean he didn't release you? In my little 19-year-old mind, none of this stuff made any sense to me, right? So I leave in the middle of the night because I'm dramatic, right? I can't just leave when he's at work. I gotta be extra. So I pack up my baby, my big old 8-month pregnant belly. We get in the car and I leave like a crazy person. Get down the street, girl, you won't have a lick of gas in the car. And then think this thing through. Acting off pure emotion. And I stop at the gas tank to put gas in the car. And I see his car flying down the highway because he's trying to catch me. I finished filling up the tank, praying, God, I hope he didn't see me. I hope he didn't see me. I hope he didn't see me. 2 seconds later, here he comes. God, didn't I say? Like, I just, at this point in my life, I'm like, were you listening to me? Like, at all, were you listening? Because I feel like every time I ask you for something, the opposite is what happens. Where's my Me Too's?
Me too.
I know I ain't the only person that ever felt that way. Come on, give it up. So he says to me, I told you don't leave me in the middle of the night. I say, I told you don't cheat on me. We even. That feels fair to me. You cheat, I leave. That's how it's supposed to work. So we argue in the parking lot of the gas station to the point to where we're now making a scene. So because I realize now that people are looking at me, and at that point in my life, the idea of someone seeing me acting, like anything opposite of a lady was like mortifying. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go back home. We go back home, he goes to work, and then I leave. And I go to North Carolina, tell my mom, I'm not going back, I'm staying up here, I'm done, I'm not going through this, but on the inside, I am terrified because I didn't want to get divorced because God doesn't like divorce. And I'm like, how am I supposed to, God, you want me to stay? Oh, because let me tell you what I left out. When I confronted them about the cheating, he didn't say he was going to stop. He said, I can't guarantee you that it won't happen again. What am I supposed to do? Everybody telling me, God say don't leave, I'm supposed to stay. He telling me he's not going to guarantee me that he's going to stop. This ain't adding up here. While I'm in North Carolina, I try to find a doctor because, again, I am 8 months pregnant. Somebody got to deliver this baby because I'm not qualified. Can't deliver the baby by myself. Go to try to find a doctor. All the doctors turn me away. You're too long in your pregnancy, too far into your pregnancy. We don't want to be responsible if something happens. We don't have any blood work on you. And I'm like, that's the whole point. That's why I'm here now, before the baby pops out, so that you can start the process. Draw your blood, do whatever you need to do. But they wouldn't do it. And the fact of the matter is they didn't have to. They don't have to accept you at a private practice. They have to accept you at the ER, but they don't have to accept you at a private practice. And I was afraid of just waiting to that moment of being at the ER. So I said, God, what am I supposed to do? And I promise you, just as clear as day, the Holy Spirit said, go back home. Wait, hold up. Home where? What home are you referring to, dear Lord? Because this dude is not an option, God. And the Lord said to me, you are not emotionally, spiritually, physically, or financially ready for what you're trying to do. Trust me. In my mind, I said, did God just tell me I can't do this? Because, when people tell me that I can't do stuff, I feel like I can.
Me too.
Because I feel like a challenge. Game on. Challenge accepted. That's what my flesh said. My spirit was bearing witness. I knew I'd heard from God, and I knew I needed to go back. And I went back. And I started taking that time. I said, God, if I got to be here, me and you got to do some real work. If I have to be here, I need you to protect my heart. Because at this point, I'm not trusting him. Because he's proven to me that he's not trustworthy. But you told me that you are trustworthy. Yeah. And so I stopped making it about him. And I started making it about me and God. Me and God had some stuff that we needed to get straight. I needed to know who I was as a woman. Not as someone's wife. Not as someone's mother. But who I was as a woman. And what God wanted for me out of my life. It is so easy to get caught up in your title, what people call you, what you do for people. But if you ask 85% of women who they are, they don't know. Wow. They will tell you, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm a college grad. They tell you what they do, and who they are in relationship to other people. But if I say, no, who are you? What makes you tick? What makes your heart speed up? What is it that when you think on that thing, you smile and you're happy? If you don't have the answer to that, doesn't matter how often you pray, don't matter how many church services you go to, don't matter how many degrees you get, houses you buy, cars, vacation trips, doesn't matter. You can have bundles weaved all down your back, but if you don't know who you are, y'all weren't supposed to laugh right there. I mean, that's real. Do we not weave bundles down our back? That's true, right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't even trying to get a laugh right there. Doesn't matter if you don't know who you are. I went through that experience, and I always start my story there because everyone thinks that when you end up having to get a divorce, because trust and believe, me and God worked it out until I was ready to get divorced. Because what I understood was God didn't tell me I couldn't have a divorce till I wasn't ready. So I started working on me until I can get to the point to where I was ready. Because I did not believe that God wanted me to stay in a toxic environment. God did not want me to stay in a situation where somebody could potentially put my life in danger. That's not healthy. That's not what he wanted for me. That was not God's best. During those years, I learned that a husband is supposed to be a representative of Christ's love for the church. Christ ain't never cheated on the church. He didn't do it. And God started to show me how over the years, I didn't even call his name out in prayer. I would always say, my husband. That's all I would say. And God said, did you ever ask me who your husband is? He's not it. Like the woman at the well. You had a lot, and the one you got is not even yours. He said, he's not it. But if you trust me, if you would give yourself totally to me, I will open up doors that you've never imagined. I will give you things that you never asked me for, if you will trust me. So me and God started on this journey. And God started to reveal more and more of myself, the good and the bad. Because worship is a mirror. It turns everything back around. So as you lift your hands and God, I love you, and God, I worship you, and God, I praise you, he responds, why don't you love your sister then? Why are you not obedient? If you love me, why don't you serve me? If you love me, why don't you yield every area of your life over to me? If you love me, why are you not consistent? If you love me, why do you not move when I say move? If you love me, why do you not speak when I say speak? If you love me, why do you not trust me? Because at the end of the day, when God gives you something to do, if you trust him, you do it.
Yeah. Come on now.
So in 2016, when God said to me, stop looking for a job and do what I gave you to do. Oh, wait a minute. See, I already trust you. Like, we don't have to go through a trust exercise. I've already mastered that. Hold up, God. No need to go there again. I got you. Trust me. Do you trust me to provide for you with the gift that I gave you? Because you're really good at honoring my spiritual gifts, but can you honor the natural ones? I gifted you to be a writer. Stop second guessing everything I tell you to write and write everything that I give you. I gifted you to be able to inspire people. Stop second guessing every invitation that you get and go when the door is open. Amen. I gifted you to be able to help other people realize their dreams. Stop second guessing it and pour out what I put into you. Because at the end of the day, what he gives you is not for you. You are only a momentary vessel. He gives you a gift so that you can be given back to the kingdom. Amen. But we so selfish.
Come on now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Me, I'm so selfish. Me too. Me too. I was going to take away your opportunity to say me too. Let me give it back to you. We get so selfish that when he gives us stuff, we want to hold it. This is a treasure. I got to hold on to this treasure. But it's not for you. You're not powerful until you empower. Wow. You have to pour out what he gives you. You're not going to give it all away. There'll always be enough for you. There'll always be something left over if you stay in relationship with him. Now, if you go left and get out here and do something he didn't tell you to do, now you're going to be depleted. You're not going to have anything left to offer yourself or anybody else. But if you stay under the covering of the anointing, and you let God lead you and direct your steps, you will be fulfilled. If I told you guys what I do on a daily basis, how I operate my businesses, I work anywhere from 10 to 14 hours sometimes, 7 days straight. My daughters can tell you. I work a lot. But my home is well kept. My husband is cared for. My children are cared for. I also take care of my parents. I'm pretty much the only stable person in my family, and I'm a beast at what I do. Please know, because I'm in a vein, because I finally know who I am, and I'm finally cool with her. I can finally accept her. She's not perfect, but she's flawsome. You know what flawsome is? She's flawed, but she's still awesome. I'm just gonna jumble all that together. Me too! Everybody should have said, me too. You don't have to have it all together, but you gotta know who you are. So when somebody comes at me and says, you're cruel, I can say, no, I'm not, because I know who I am. I'm not cruel, I'm actually very kind-hearted. But I have boundaries, because boundaries are healthy. Boundaries will keep you out of the hospital, because not having boundaries will stress you out. And you'll be losing weight, and you'll have acne, and your hair will be falling out because you don't have no boundaries. You get you some boundaries if you don't have any. Boundaries are healthy. Amen. Because you cannot allow people to deplete you and pour and pour. You can't pour from an empty cup. Your cup has to stay full. And the only way that you can ensure that your cup stays full is to stay in the face of the King. Yes. He's always pouring. Always. Heaven is always open. Yes. Heaven is always open. You're always living under an open heaven if you stay in the presence of the King. Yes, right. And then do what he has gifted you to do. Now, if your gift is numbers, a lot of times, and I'm almost done, a lot of times we like to think that when your gift is numbers, that means that you're supposed to work in finance at the church. Nope, not necessarily. Maybe you're supposed to go work for Bank of America so you can make some real money and then sow back into the kingdom. Maybe. Amen. Maybe you're supposed to hold a workshop and teach the body how to manage their finances. If your gift is doing hair, maybe you're supposed to help out people at the church. Or maybe you're supposed to open a shop on the other side of town where there is no church and bless those people when they walk in the door. And by bless, I don't mean by giving away free hairdos. I mean by showing up, because your very presence blesses their lives. Amen. Sometimes we have to learn how to honor who we are in the natural, because he gave you that too. Just like he gave me the ability to write, I could not dishonor that gift by holding it on the inside when that's what I was created to do. I could tell a story without trying. I could look at anybody in this room and I can create a whole story about your life. That ain't gonna be right, but it's gonna be entertaining. Because that's what I do. It's how I function, it's how I flow. That's my thing, right? That's when I'm most comfortable. But just like all of you, the only difference between us is that I learned how to accept all of me. And I learned how to be comfortable walking in all who he created me to be, in all of my amazing glory. Because I am a product of God's grace. Everything about my past says I'm not supposed to be here.
Me too. Me too.
Everything about my past says that my life is impossible.
Me too.
Everything about my past says I should have been a statistic.
Me too.
But here I am, killing the game. Every day, I get up and I make a commitment. I make a commitment to God, and I make a commitment to myself, because I'm valuable.
Me too.
Because he didn't put all of this on the inside of me for me to walk around with a puffed up chest. He put it on the inside of me so that some other young lady could see. You can come from a broken home. You can come from broken parents. You can come from nothing. And you can build your house from the ground up like a boss. That's the first one. Don't worry, I'm gonna build another one too. Need more shoe space.
Me too.
Come on. You can create your own destiny. I don't follow the rules on purpose. I'm not a rebel, like they like to say that I am. I'm just a person who chooses to live on every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And sometimes his word isn't just something that I can use and hear. Sometimes his word is telling me how to launch a publishing company when I had no experience, when I did not go to school for that. Sometimes what his word says is, get up here and write a legal thriller, even though you've never been a lawyer and you know nothing about writing legal thrillers. Sometimes me doing what he said leads me to being an international bestseller. That means people in Canada, people in India, people in Germany, people in the UK, people in Australia. Y'all, they love me in Australia. I don't know these people. Because I do what God says. Not because I am so great, which I am, don't get it twisted, but because I do what he says. Because I learned the key to living a great life is to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. If you can do that, every dream that you ever had, plus some more, will come true.
Amen.
And you got to work for it. I work hard for what I have built. And I make no apologies for my success. So those people that I haven't seen in a long time, they come around and they be like, oh, you think you all that? Yep, sure do. Mm-hmm. You do too, that's why you said it. Yep. Do not apologize for it. She's arrogant. No, I'm not. I'm confident.
Yes.
Because you weren't on that floor all those years that me and God were developing a relationship. You weren't crying with me. You weren't wiping my tears. You weren't even calling to check up on me. So now that I'm on this side, you don't have a say in what happens in my life. Because it was me and Jesus on that floor. It was me and Jesus praying my way through. It was me and Jesus convincing me that I had the power to stand up. And if I have the power to stand up, guess who else does?
Me too.
If you don't remember anything else that I say to you, remember this. The only difference between you and Oprah is her ability to do what she hears. That's the only difference. Do what you hear. Don't just talk about it. Don't just write it down and declare it. Do it. Research how to start your company. Make it legal. Don't bootleg it. Don't just print a business card and say you got a company. Go down to City Hall. Find out how you legally begin a company. Then go to the state level. Figure out what to do on the state level. Figure out what you need to do with the IRS. Make it legal for real. Why y'all acting like this? Are y'all throwing somebody under the bus on the front row? Is the front row ministry throwing each other under the bus? They don't throw each other under the bus on the front row. It wasn't me, baby. Are they throwing you under the bus? It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Look, your friends did that. Just like y'all see what Jesus' friend did to him. Your friends did that. It wasn't me. But if your toes get stepped on, that means you needed the push to go in the right direction. What's your business? You nervous? Or you gonna cry? Which one is it? Don't be nervous now, baby, because Jesus is shining the spotlight on you now, so now you gotta say it. What's your business? Okay. Why are you nervous to say that your business is decorating? You haven't done it yet. So why are you nervous?
Your mama over there.
Is that your mother?
No.
Oh, okay. Why are you nervous? Is it a lack of confidence? Because you're not sure if you're going to be good enough when you compare yourself to somebody else? Let me tell you something. Ain't nobody flow like your flow.
Right.
Your flow is the best flow. So every idea that you get, jot it down. Take a picture. Go on Pinterest. See what you can find. Put it together. Make a lookbook. If you don't have a lookbook already, every designer needs a lookbook. Put together a lookbook. But do what makes you happy. Girl, if you can look at patterns, because they don't mean nothing to me, but if you can look at patterns and put them together and make a room that look good, that's what you should be doing. What job you working?
I'm actually a staffing consultant.
Oh, girl, I used to do that too. I used to work at Staffing Solutions, and I loved it. I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. That's why I got that degree in business administration, because I thought, that with the HR concentration, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Nope. That ain't what you're supposed to do. Do what it is that he told you to do. Now, if you caught up on the check, because them checks look good, you know when they're coming. You can count on it, right? You done got your bills planned around them checks, right? Let me tell you what you do. Start figuring out a way to pay off your bills so that your overhead is low, so that you can move the way that God wants you to move. That's where most of us mess up. We get stuck in dead-end jobs because we look good and we live good and we ride good. But you don't have what it takes to be able to sustain your life. That means you're required to keep making a certain amount of money every couple of weeks so that your life can be sustained and nothing falls through the cracks. Start figuring out ways to lower your overhead. Right? Once you lower your overhead, now in the meantime, also keep taking design jobs. Right? Because what you want to happen is you want the overhead to lower and you want the money from your business to be lower. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And don't be scared. Can't nobody design like you. You got to say that. Say, can't nobody design like me.
Nobody design like me.
You believe that? Say it again. Say it like you really believe
Nobody
it.
design like me.
Can't nobody design like you. Then I want you to go. Do you know a good bit of people in this area? Then tell them what you're doing. Say the next time you have an event, I will do your event at cost. So that the time after that, you can charge them whatever you want to charge them. Start doing it so you can take pictures and build up your portfolio. The only way to build your business is to do what you do. Start doing. Who else got a business in here they sitting on?
Right back there.
Me too.
What you sitting on?
Restaurant, bakeries. Different cities.
What's your hold up?
Now,
What's your hold up?
what's my hold up? I'm doing ministry. God has me in a place. I help people.
Me too.
Me too.
I've been in ministry since 2007. Me too. What's your next excuse?
I don't have a next excuse.
Okay.
Not excuse.
So here's the thing. God has you in ministry, right? You minister to the people and you pour out what he gives you. There's more than one type of ministry. Your truest form of worship is doing what he gave you to do.
Amen.
That's your truest form of worship. So that when somebody sits down and they eat that food and they start closing their eyes and rubbing their belly and oh my God, you put your foot in this. That's your worship.
Yeah.
Because that is a form of your ministry. So until you do that, woman of God, you out of order. I know I ain't supposed to say that in this house.
Yes, you say it.
You out of order. You have to do what he tells you to do. And food is more than just a hobby. Food is vital. People gonna always eat as long as they're alive.
Come on.
You got a sustained income, a revenue that you will always have, that will always be available to you. But you gotta get in line. Once you line up, once you say yes for real, watch how fast it happens. No. Once you say yes for real, you can't do it in front of us. Nice try. But I've been at this a long time. Nice try. What you have to do, I got her. This one here and this one here. What you have to do is you and Jesus been having a long time about this business. You need to write it out, what you want it to look like, how much money you need to get off the ground, find out if there's a way to do it cheaper, and the same thing I told her, get your overhead as low as possible. So that you can move forward. Amen. Put you on the spot. Love you. What you do? Fashion, design, clothes. Pink shirt. What you do? Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah, fashion design.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you snatched. You walked in the door looking like, look at me. I mean, come on. You got some fashion somewhere. What's the hold up?
Consulting, business consulting, counseling, mental health counseling.
What's the hold up?
So, yeah.
What's the hold up?
I'm launching. It's in the works.
It's in the works. Okay.
Amen.
You already started doing fashion design consulting on the side?
Yes.
Where's your clients that's supposed to be with you when you go somewhere? Who you dressed in here today besides you?
Just me today.
When you go places, if you have an opportunity to mingle, dress somebody else. I don't care if all you do is go to their closet and say, put this with that. No, that's ugly. Don't put it like that. Put that jewelry on. No, that don't match. That clash. Put them shoes with that. You need to bring a walking billboard with you everywhere you go. Dress people, take pictures, put it in your lookbook. Put them on social media. Let them know you're trying to help them get their life right. Because you know Hinesville fashion now. You can use some help. I used to live here. Don't everybody stone me, but they can use some help.
Yeah.
Right? Hook these sisters up. You see them? Hook them up. We know you got the t-shirt business is coming. I mean, your shirt look like t-shirt business. I'm just saying.
It's in the works.
Mama, what's going on in the black jacket? What you got going on?
I sew.
You sew?
I cook.
Oh, so you do all the stuff that the millennials can't do. Sorry, millennials, not sorry. You do all the stuff that the millennials can't do. If you're a millennial and you can sew and cook real good and all that, raise your hand. See what I mean?
My mind.
So it kind of, are you really a millennial or are
I
you
can't
trying to
even
like
do
lower
it.
yourself? I'm a millennial at heart. That's what I'm saying. You're really a millennial?
No,
Okay.
I can't even do that. I can't even get it in
Here's a
there.
student.
No.
This is someone who's starting. Do you take lessons from y'all know each other? You're new to the area? Oh, perfect time to lunch. Brand new. What they say? New place, new you, new year, new you, new anything.
All
You
that.
can put a new you on the end. Just say new and add new you. You got it. It's all for you, right? But here's a student. Would you like to learn? You won't have to even pay me for hooking you up with your first gift. There you go. Bam. Who else sitting on their gift? Who else we got here sitting on their gift? What do you do? What you want to sew or what do you want to do?
I do real estate investing and I have a dance school franchise.
Did you say you do real estate investing and the dance school franchise? And you want to sew? So you're a Renaissance woman. I'm not mad. I'm just trying to understand. Ain't nothing wrong way to get your coin any way it comes.
The hobby, but not really the dancing part and then real estate.
So you have a studio here already?
Not
Not yet. Okay, what's hold up? Financing or what are you looking for, space or
yet.
looking for space? Okay. Could you start using someone else's space? Pastor, don't you got a lovely space over here on the other side of the building that she could possibly rent out to host her dance studio? Boom. There you go. You ain't got to pay me nothing for hooking you up. You see what happens when you start talking about what you want to do? You never know who around you has a resource to be able to assist you on your journey. It's called strategic partnerships, to where both people are able to benefit from what you're doing together. You guys got the spiritual stuff down. It's time to start putting the natural principles in place so that you can go to the next level. Don't keep telling God that you want more income when he gave you a way to make more income and you won't use it. That ain't on him, that's on you.
Come on.
He already showed you how. You just have to do it. What you supposed to be doing? Did you start yet? Because I know we already talked about this. Did you start yet? I ain't seen draft number 1. Fire.
It's right here.
Lori, what you want to do?
I'm doing what I want to do.
What you doing?
Well, okay, I can't say that, but I'm a nurse.
Okay,
I'm going back to school for my RN.
okay. But you're already in school.
No, right now I'm actually helping somebody else build their business.
But at first you said, like, I'm already doing what I want to do.
I am, well, I'm a nurse, so
Right.
I'm already doing what I want to do.
Right.
I'm just going.
You need to go back and finish.
Yeah.
You know, Lori, you're real good at helping other people. I just hope you're going to put yourself first. I can say that to Lori because I've known her for a long time. Put yourself first for a little bit. It's coming?
It's
All right.
coming.
All right, all right. I love you, ladies. God bless you. Thank you for having me. I pray everybody was blessed and that you got something that you're able to use in the course of your life. If nothing else, I hope all of you that just found out who your business partners or potential strategic partnerships are, I hope you get each other's phone numbers. Work together. Seriously. You don't have to have a lot to get started. Just get started. When you start, you never know what door will open to you. So I pray that you guys will continue on your journey of self-love and self-discovery, and most importantly, launching out and doing the thing that you're afraid to do. Don't be scared. Just do it. You're guaranteed not to succeed if you don't do it. You have to try. But you're beautiful, self. You're so pretty. Yeah, yes. Accept the compliment, ladies. You're gorgeous. Say thank you.